Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Lines. It's playoff time here in the state of Alabama. I am at the Benjamin Russell versus Central Tuscaloosa first round of the playoff game. Anna Sophia is joining us in from Tuscaloosa for Christian Academy versus Tallahassee. Sorry, somebody just yelled behind me. But yeah, it's playoff football here in the state of Alabama. But before we get into some of the games that we got on our slate, I want to give a big shout out to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines Live. They have supported us this entire season, so we really appreciate them. And if you have any roofing needs, be sure to get in touch with them. Their number is down there in the left corner. But before we start talking about the games that we are currently at, we had a decent amount of teams across the state move some of their games to last night to combat the possible weather implications that are happening today. And one of those games happened to be Dadeville versus Southside Selma. And when you looked at it on paper, it really seemed like it was going to be a David versus Goliath kind of game. I mean, Southside Selma was averaging nearly 60 points a game on the offensive side of the ball. They were undefeated. Then you have Dadeville, who's coming out of a really strong region with a 3-7 record, coming into their territory. So it seemed like it was going to be a very lopsided win for Southside Selma. And early on in that game, it kind of seemed to be that way. Dadeville was making some plays, and they held a lead at one point at 7-6. But then Selma in their high-flying passing attack with Cole Moody, the 8th grade phenom there at Southside Selma, they started to pour on some points and eventually got up to a 26-7 lead over Dadeville. But then second half, it was the Dadeville defense just stepped up. That's just the easiest way to describe it. They constantly put Cole Moody under duress. They were forcing incompletions. They just didn't allow him to have the time to dissect their defense down the field. And so I was extremely impressed with the Dadeville defense. There was a little bit of drama at the end with a fake kneel trick play that Southside Selma ran with less than 20 seconds left to extend the score to 32-15. But I mean, when you're pulling those kind of tricks out with less than 20 seconds left, I mean, not the best look. But no, extremely impressive showing from Dadeville, and it's almost similar to their playoff run last year, where they had Montgomery Academy on the ropes for pretty much the entirety of the game. And so just want to send a big congratulations to Dadeville on a great season. This is their fifth consecutive year in the playoffs, and a decent amount of that production from this year's squad is going to be coming back. I think of immediate names like Davis McKelvey, who in his first full season as the starting quarterback showed that he's a real dual threat guy. Corday Jefferson, the team's leading rusher, also put up a great performance last night. He had 2 touchdowns and over 100 total yards. And then Cale Hanks, who's their leading receiver, had to step up to be that wide receiver one going into this year. They're all coming back, along with some crucial pieces on the offensive line, and I imagine some young guys also step up for Dadeville next year. But definitely a very exciting game against a juggernaut in Class 3A. So hats off to Dadeville in that matchup.
Absolutely.
So now I figure we can get into the games that we're currently at. And so, like I said at the beginning of the show, I am here at Benjamin Russell for the I just got hit by a football. I'm here at the Benjamin Russell game. So you probably could see that. That was it's live. It's always great to do stuff on a live show. But yeah, I'm at Benjamin Russell for Benjamin Russell versus Central Tuscaloosa. And for a little bit of context on Central Tuscaloosa, they are a 7-2 squad. They finished with the number 4 seed in their region. Hueytown was actually the team that won that region. Surprisingly enough, I think Hueytown had a 5-4 record or 5-5 record, but 5 of those wins came in their region to get that number 1 seed. But I don't think that this is one that you should be fooled with as far as Central Tuscaloosa. They're 7-2. Yeah, they're the number 4 team out of their region, but I mean, they have a winning record. And especially, doing my research throughout the week, there's a lot of Division I talent on this Central Tuscaloosa team. Their running back has Division I offers. They have a wide receiver with Division I offers. They have an offensive defensive line guy who plays on both sides of the ball. He's a Division I bound guy. So there's a lot of talent on this Central Tuscaloosa team. And I mean, but there's just also as much star talent on this Benjamin Russell team. I mean, we obviously think of Cedarian Morgan, 5-star number 1 player in the state. Then we got Kingston Prayer, another 5-star number 1 player in the state. You got BJ Bedgood, you got Charles L. Davis, you got Elijah Johnson. You got a lot of guys that are going to be playing on Saturday. So I think this is going to be a fun game. As far as just early keys for me with this game, when looking at Central Tuscaloosa's stats for the season, their offense really prioritizes their ability to run the ball, and I believe their running back's name is Anthony Dixon. So if the Benjamin Russell defense is able to hold Anthony Dixon in check, I think that's going to make Central Tuscaloosa throw the ball, and we haven't really seen what they can do whenever they go with the pass-heavy attack. So definitely got my eyes on the Benjamin Russell defense, and specifically the run game of the Benjamin Russell defense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what would you say are the key moments of the game, and what are you looking to see from Central Tuscaloosa as far as, competing against, a completely stacked offensive side of the ball at Benjamin Russell this year?
I mean, if you're Central Tuscaloosa, I mean, the one thing that's very glaringly obvious with the Benjamin Russell Wildcats is how high scoring of an offense they have, and they're averaging nearly 40 points a game right now. So if you're the Central Tuscaloosa team, you're either trying to match with your same level of offensive production, or you're trying to find some way to slow it down. You got to make sure that you get Benjamin Russell behind the sticks. But I mean, even when Benjamin Russell has been put behind the sticks, they still find a way to get those first down, keep drive alive. So I mean, I'm pretty confident in Benjamin Russell in this one. I think that the passing attack that they have is just easily one of the best in the state and one of the hardest to stop. So Central Tuscaloosa is going to have their hands full if they want to slow down this team. But I mean, I think we've mentioned it, almost every single inside the lines, Benjamin Russell always finds a way to win. So even if they do slow down the passing attack, I'd be interested to see what Jacque Norris can do. Their defense has come up and shown their ability to win football games. So will the defense step up and be the ultimate X factor? This team is so balanced across the board, where it's really a different aspect of their game that really steps up. And I'm interested to see what aspect of their game steps up tonight.
For sure. Well, we can switch over to my side. Seems like we kind of switched there. You're hosting Central Tuscaloosa, and I'm in Tuscaloosa, with Tallahassee, obviously. Funny how things like that work in the playoffs. So this is the Tigers' second year back in the playoffs after I believe, I think they only won 3 games the season before L.A. O'Neal joined. Now they're back in the playoffs again this season. 1 game. Sorry.
They were 1-9 the year before LA.
1-9. That's what I thought. I didn't want to be wrong though. Yeah. So last season they came out swinging and they were the number 1 seed. This season in a really, really competitive region, things have kind of turned around, and other schools, made a name for themselves. I would say Bullitt County is one of those teams that's absolutely turned things around. In 4A Region 3. And so at 6-4, the Tigers kind of scraped by this season and made it in with 4 seeds. So now they're facing the number 1 seed American Christian here in Tuscaloosa at American Christian. Obviously, you can see this beautiful scoreboard behind me on a lovely turf field and with some really, really nice football weather tonight. Coach O'Neal told me earlier this week that the key to this game is going to be stopping the run. This American Christian team has a dual threat quarterback. They have a dual threat running back. Who can catch, who can run, who can, break through gaps and get down the field, get downhill really quickly. Drew Jackson, the quarterback, though, is really going to be the key, and forcing him to make passes and absolutely shutting down the run game is what Coach O'Neal told me would be the key to winning this game. Ironically, American Christian is also 6-4 this season, despite being the number 1 seed. But they've played against some really, really tough talent, Tuscaloosa Academy being one of them, the team that was in the 2A state championship last season. They're 2A state champion runner-ups. Last week, the Tigers really struggled with penalties and completing tackles, and so that is one of the things that Coach O'Neal really drilled in practice this week. Wrapping up tackles and playing really, really solid assignment football is going to be the key, according to Coach O'Neal, to win this game for the Tigers. And mental toughness is also just going to play a huge role. This is a long drive, long way away for long trip for the Tigers, but they're here and they're ready to play. And at this point, it's do or die. So we're gonna see what the Tigers can do, what they have in the tank left for the 11th game of the season for them, against seemingly a really solid team, but a team that they also match up pretty well against.
Absolutely. And I mean, we were just talking about it before we got onto the live show. This is one of those games that we have on our slate where I could really see going either way. Obviously, I'm going to be rooting for Tallahassee tonight, just because of what they were able to do in the playoffs last year. I mean, Trent Morris was just absolutely a dog for them last year. So I wonder, will they catch fire in the playoffs right now? And they've obviously caught fire in the last 3 games, winning 3 straight. And I just want to see how much of that momentum carries over into this matchup against American Christian. So I'm very excited to see this game. Anna Sophia, from your perspective, who do you expect to really step up tonight for the Tigers?
It's got to be Trent Morris. Trent Morris is a playmaker type of athlete. He plays on both sides of the ball. He's been known to, come up with just insanely athletic interceptions at various points of crucial moments in the game. He's a big play type of player. He finds a way. He finds the big play and he makes it, and he sees that and he knows that about himself. He's very confident. He's very self-assured. He's one of the most competitive athletes that I've seen, play football at this level. And that's why Coach O'Neill loves him and trusts him so much to lead this team on the offensive side and the defensive side as the leader on the secondary. So I think if Tallahassee can do what they're used to doing and make all of those big plays, then they're going to be really, really tough to beat. And American Christian is going to have to win every snap of this game in order to beat the Tallahassee Tigers.
Absolutely. Well, I got to yell over the band right now, but we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back to talk about some of the other games we got going on across the county. I feel like I didn't mention this at the beginning of the show, but with TPI, we have 12 total teams that we cover between Anna Sophia and I, and we had 9 teams make the playoffs this year, which is just awesome. I think last year we had 10 teams that made the playoffs last year, so we got some really good talent that we got in our area. But to talk about some of the other matchups, we'll be right back after a commercial break.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world, and we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
When I came back from the war, I was barely hanging on by a thread. I'm here today because of Tanya's relentless efforts in trying to get me healed. And says, Michael, I know you've got a plan to take your life today, but if you give me just 5 more minutes to love you.
5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, honey, 5 more minutes to love.
Michael has actually taught me what it looks like to accept help.
I just realized I don't think I was muted at all that entire commercial break, so oopsie, that's part of the live programming. But we are back with Inside the Lines Live. It is playoff football in the state of Alabama. I want to give another shout out to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines Live. They've been a sponsor this entire season, so if you have any roofing needs, be sure to get in touch with them. So before we went into commercial break, we were talking about one of those games that it was really a struggle to determine as far as when we were doing our predictions, our weekly predictions. And I want to get into another one that I really was struggling with, and that is Stanhope Elmore at Theodore. I think only 2 people selected Theodore while everybody else picked Stanhope. And after I wrote down Theodore, I immediately just I want to take it back. Like, I'm really rooting for Stanhope in this game. So, Anna Sophia, how about you tell us about this matchup and just the season that Stanhope Elmore has had thus far?
Oh my gosh. It's been such a pleasure to cover Stanhope Elmore this season. They are like a true high school underdog story. I mean, they fought back. This is Coach Hunter Adams' 3rd year as head coach, I believe. And this is his 1st year in the playoffs. He told me at the beginning of the season that this is the most well-rounded, strong foundation team that he has coached at Stanhope Elmore. Stanhope Elmore is known for always having a really, really solid running back and a really good offensive line. And they have that this year, some of the best that they could have potentially in those positions. But they have guys and playmakers in every other position as well. Guys who are just consistently good at what they do. Coach O'Neill always talks about assignment football, and I feel like Stanhope Elmore is one of the best examples of that as far as they execute game plans like absolutely perfectly. I have Coach Adams tell me, all the time, like what the goals for the game are. And then when we talk the following week, he tells me exactly how they executed that. And it just seems like this team is out to win. They are determined to win. And, obviously they're a 3 seed. Theodore is a 2 seed. This game could truly go either way. You always kind of lean on the side of, picking the team that's favored with the better seeding. But this game, I think, is truly Stanhope Elmore's game to lose. They have done everything that they possibly could do this season to prepare and to get to where they are. They earned that 3 seed spot, beating their rivals Wetumpka in an absolutely electric game, my favorite game of high school football that I've ever seen. And, all of these teams are like my children. Like, I've covered them all so closely all season, and I love them all so much, and I love all the coaches so much and all the players and stuff who've worked with me. But Stanhope Elmore just really has a special place in my heart because of how hard they work and how much they care. And I feel like the culture of the team has really carried on to how they play the game. And so just a little bit about Theodore. Coach Adams, when I talked to him earlier this week, he described Theodore as, like they're kind of, Stanhope Elmore is kind of looking in the mirror. Like, this team, I don't want to say a better version of Stanhope Elmore, but this is, a team that looks very similar to past versions of a Stanhope Elmore team under Coach Adams. Coach Adams specifically compared Theodore's running back, Kendrick Abel Jr., to Arthur McQueen from last season's Stanhope Elmore team. And so, Coach Adams just was so eloquent and poetic when he was talking to me. And he said that henceforth, this is the biggest game that his players have ever played in their entire life. And there's no tomorrow if you don't grab today, which I think is just a perfect way to encapsulate what playoff football is, especially in, one of the most competitive classifications in the state at 6A. You have arguably the best competition, some of the best players in the state. I mean, look at Benjamin Russell with all of their, 5-star players. 6A football is an absolute gauntlet, and Stanhope Elmore has earned their place. They have earned the right to win. They have earned, this playoff berth that they've been fighting for. This is the first time in the playoff since 2020, so 5 years. And I'm just really excited to see Stanhope Elmore, and I really, really hope they pull out a win tonight. I did pick them to beat Theodore, but every football game is kind of a toss-up. It's really hard. Football is a sport that's really hard to predict winners of games if you don't have every piece of information at your fingertips. And that is one of the games where it was, like you said, Sam, it was really, really hard to pick. But I truly, truly, truly believe in this Stanhope Elmore team, and I really hope they can come out with a win tonight.
Absolutely. And so now we get back into my neck of the woods, and it was very similar. I had a really fun time writing this Highland Home at Reeltown story because I was at the Highland Home versus Reeltown game last year, and that was I think I told Anna Sophia it was anticlimactic, but also one of the most exciting games that I've ever been a part of because, it was just a complete stalemate between these two teams. I think Reeltown going into that game was averaging 40 points on offense. I think Highland Home walking into that game was averaging 50 points on offense, and the total amount of points scored were 6. against from two really good offenses. So Highland Home and Reeltown have familiarity in the playoffs. This is their 12th matchup, or this is their 13th matchup. But out of the 12, 6 of them have been in the playoffs. So these teams continue to see each other in the playoffs, and I mean, Reeltown has had the better end of Highland Home in the playoffs as of late. So I'm expecting some big things from Reeltown. I expect them to clean up some of the miscues that were hitting them last week against Lee Scott Academy. They've lost the turnover battle 4-1. They had some costly penalties, and those are two things that Coach Johnson, in my conversations with him after the game and in this week, he said, you can't shoot yourself in the foot, and so I expect them to really limit those mistakes. But it looks like we got to take another quick commercial break and get into some of the other games that we got on our slate. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and get back into some of the other games we got going on across the state. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world, and we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
When I came back from the war, I was barely hanging on by a thread. I'm here today because of Tanya's relentless efforts in trying to get me healed. And says, Michael, I know you've got a plan to take your life today, but if you give me just 5 more minutes to love you.
5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, honey, 5 more minutes to
Michael
love.
has actually taught me what it looks like to accept help.
And welcome back to Inside the Lines Live Playoff Edition. My name is Samuel Higgs. I am the sports editor for the Alex City Outlook and Dadeville Record, joined by sports reporter for the Wetumpka Herald and Tallahassee Tribune, Anna Sophia Meyer. We've previewed a lot of our games that we got going on, but like I said at the top of the show, we got 9 teams in the playoffs right now. And I figured we'd go into your neck of the woods with Elmer County at Demopolis. This, again, was the third on our list of games that I really struggled with, but I got the Panthers in this one. To kind of tell us about the matchup.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a hard time finding too much information about Demopolis. They did have a newspaper there, but it unfortunately closed a little while ago. But this is a rematch game. In Coach Bubbles, Elmer County's head coach, in his first season as head coach at Elmer County, the Panthers went out to Demopolis in this same type of game and played Demopolis in the first round. And they did lose to that Demopolis team, but this is a completely different Demopolis team. That is one key thing that Kyle Caldwell was telling me about, is that this is a completely different team, new coaching staff, new players, new everything. So it's truly a clean slate for the Panthers tonight. Their offenses just look so good this season. They are such a fun team to watch. They really rely on, in previous years, they've relied on the one game with Tyler Payton, coming in as their lead running back. Is just a really, really physical player. But Gage Davis has taken absolute control over this offense this season. He's averaging like 150 passing yards per game with over 1,600, nearly 1,700 yards this season with 22 touchdowns. Like, he's just done so well. He's one of the best quarterbacks in Elmer County right now. And Demopolis is 6-4 this season. They have dropped the last 2 games, one against Northridge and the last one against Wetumpka. But before that, they did win 3 straight. And Demopolis has a strong offense as well. with the receiver averaging 70 yards per game and a running back averaging over 100 yards per game this season. So I think the Panthers are really going to want to shut down those passing lanes and just play, really physical. Like this is another matchup where these are two really similar teams. How seems like they play similar. They have similar stats. They have similar, types of athletes as far as, build and, roster depth. So this is going to be a really good matchup for the Panthers. I did pick the Bills in this one, but I think this one could also really, really go either way. And I think it's going to come down to, game plan and execution. What team knows more about the other team and what team can, really invert and, beat whatever other team at their own game.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've talked about Coach Caldwell's goal for this team, and that's to host a playoff game. And if they do that tonight, they will next week. They'll host a playoff game. He didn't say host a first-round playoff game, if I remember correctly. It's just host a playoff game.
He did. Well, he did to me.
Okay. But either way, they'll be able to host a game next week. Yeah, still fits the goal. But then I want to get into the last game. Actually, before we get into my last,
you forgot about Wetumpka.
That's what I was going to talk about, the Coosa Cougars, but we got to talk about Wetumpka. I thought, reading your piece and what Bear Woods said, I mean, you gotta play good against a team like Saraland. You gotta take advantage of every moment. So kind of tell us about that matchup.
Yeah, if Wetumpka wants to win this game, they have to play the best game. Every single player on that field has to play the best game that they've ever played in their entire lives. And I feel like that's just the overall theme. But, something that I found really interesting about this game when I was talking to Coach Bear Woods earlier this week is that he doesn't really see it like that. Obviously, he knows, and he was very, very, very complimentary about how good of a team Saraland is. But he is one of the most confident people I've ever met in my entire life. And that is not changing this week. I asked him if there was anything different about, the Indians' process this week, and there was really not. Their focus, their theme, their slogan is win the moment, and they have, they strive to win the moment every single day and every single game and every single time they step onto the field. And, winning the moment doesn't necessarily mean, winning the game, but it does start with, winning every quarter, winning every snap, like I said before. So that's what the Indians are looking to do. And, ultimately, this game is definitely going in Saraland's favor as far as, 6A state runners-up last year. 9-0 team, 8-0 in their region. They are clearly one of the best teams in 6A this season, but that doesn't mean that Wetumpka does not have a chance. If they execute the game plan that, Bear Woods has implemented as, a really, really smart and, a coach that knows the game of football really well, and he knows how to win football games, especially ones that they are not favored in. The Indians could come out and they could surprise the Saraland Spartans tonight.
Absolutely. And to go from one team that has a very small margin of error with their plays, we got the Coosa Cougars going against the number 1 ranked team in Class 2A, Laverne, and just looking at their stats from this year, Laverne likes to run the ball. That's as simple as it gets. They like to run the ball. They're averaging 300 rushing yards a game between, I think, 4 different guys that see carries in the backfield. And talking to Coach Flowers this week, he said that he's got 5 games to film of Laverne, and in all 5 games they've run a different thing. So it's going to be a tough task for the Coosa defense. But I mean, if they can make use of what they can do on the offensive side of the ball, it should be an interesting game. A very historic season for the Cougars, breaking their 10-year playoff streak. So very excited to see what Coosa can do in this game, see how well they compete. But overall, just extremely ecstatic for Central Coosa and Coach Flowers being able to accomplish this feat. But then we get into our last game, our last playoff team, and that is Edgewood at Patrician Academy. And if I remember correctly, I believe Patrician Academy is the number 1 team in AISA.
Yes, they are the number 1 team in AISA. And that is something that the Edgewood Wildcats are very aware of. This is an undefeated team, and they have dropped absolute numbers on their opponents this season. Like, when you think of an undefeated team, certain games, like an undefeated team might scrape by. It's really hard to be that consistent as far as winning all 10 games this season. But, Patrician has done that. They have done that in a really, really impressive way. They've also been out their RB1 for the last couple weeks. But he should be back tonight. We fully expect him to be back tonight, for Patrician. And Edgewood just has a huge task ahead of them, but this is a position that they've earned. They are the number 4 seed, so it makes sense that they're going to play, one of the best teams. And despite being the underdogs, I feel like this season Wildcats are kind of used to being the underdogs, and they're preparing for that. Coach Scott Phillips, Edgewood Athletic Director Scott Phillips, did tell me that they run a wing T offense, and that in the 3 games of film that he watched, he only saw them run the ball about 3 times. So, Patrician Academy is going to be hitting those gaps really, really, really hard, and they're going to be hitting them every single time. So, Edgewood is probably going to have to stack the box, and they're going to have to execute and wrap up tackles as soon as possible and early in the game in order to prevent Patrician from scoring quickly and scoring early. And I think that's going to be the key to win the game. If Patrician gets on the board early, it might be a runaway game from there. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for the Wildcats, but we believe in them.
Absolutely. So it looks like we have gone through all the playoff teams that we have this week. If you guys are planning on going out to a game tonight, you got, I believe, 35 minutes before you do so. Thankfully, this is not like last week where we were game time in the 30 degrees. It's actually quite warm. I feel like I have overdressed for this game. But other than that, we're excited to see what our teams can do in the playoffs, and best way we've been doing it this entire season. Go football!
Go football!
Alrighty, guys. Hopefully, we'll see you guys next week if we have a bunch of teams move on. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines Live.
Yep.
Go football!
Go football!